Great. So
So,
I'm starting the recording. Okay. Here we go. Uh, Hello and welcome. My name is Siddharth Shah. I'm the CEO of Think and Grow Rich Academy. We represent the Napoleon Hill Foundation in India. It has been an honor and privilege today for me to be in the august company of Mr. Mahendran, Mr. A. Mahendran. His name is just personifying entrepreneurship in India. So let me just give a brief background of Mr. A. Mahendran. Welcome, sir, to this particular talk show in the context of the book written by Arun Lal and Deepak Ghadge, Dhool Dhoop Dhakka. So thank you so much for your valuable time and
welcome, welcome.
thank you. So I'll just briefly introduce yourself, sir, if you don't mind, sir.
Please,
Mr.
please.
Mr. Mahendran is an Indian entrepreneur and the promoter and ex-chairman of Global Consumer Products Private Limited. He is someone who has sacrificed his successful corporate career to plunge neck deep into entrepreneurship. He was the former managing director of Godrej Consumer Products. Mahendran also holds a degree in Bachelor of Commerce from Loyola College, Chennai, and he's also a qualified chartered accountant in 1979. I was born in 1976, but I'm a CA. I did my CA way back in 96. He also completed advanced management programs from the MIT Sloan School of Management, Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management, and the University of Michigan. Uh, he began his career as a partner with chartered accountancy from RNG Price and Associates. It's a long list. I don't want to, go on and on and on. Sir, over to you. Welcome. Let me ask this question to you, sir.
Thank you.
In this context of what's happened right now in this world, and the way Deepak and Arun have written this classic book in which your story is also featured, which is Dhool Dhoop Dhakka. What is your take of these three words in an entrepreneur's journey? So,
Yeah, the title what Deepak envisaged was very interesting, and Dul Dul and Dhaka, that was really exciting to me. The way he went about describing that. Now coming back to the journey, the entrepreneurial journey. Yes, when you say Dul Dul Dhaka, what comes to my mind is an entrepreneur has to have fundamentally a killer instinct. So he should go for a kill. What I mean by that. So without that, you can't qualify anybody as entrepreneur. Fundamentally, if you are not a killer with that instinct of killer instinct.
right.
So with that need of what we call the passion, a man should have the passion for a particular idea, the
Right.
idea or the product or the concept or whatever you do, what you do. There should be a what do you call a high level of passion behind it. The last one is when you look at a passion, there is something called patience and perseverance. You need to have the patience and perseverance towards the passion. And if you don't have that, you drop down, from the race or whatever you start. And so the fundamental thing is killer's instinct, patience, and perseverance. Okay,
Wow.
with the passion. This is what I would define what an entrepreneur journey should be. This is empirically derived by me. I have not read any book to that extent. If you ask me, as a chartered accountant, I can talk about income tax law or company law. You understand? But this is important. What I've learned in my journey. Journey started off as a what we call a entrepreneurial mindset way back in 1980 when I qualified myself in 7980 and as coming from a middle class family and in Chennai. And as usual, the parents say, Mahendran, you're now qualified. Which bank you're applying for a job, or typically 1980 you apply for a job in a bank or a company as a finance manager. That's what everybody asked me, including my father. I declined. I said, no, I have no interest of applying anywhere. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I like to do my business. My business is what we call professional service, and that's where I started. Everybody was surprised. What is it? What's your background? Do you have a background of professional service? Let's say chartered accountant. Your father is a chartered accountant, running a firm, and you take over that. Nothing like that. So you just start. So I came and was able to convince a professional large old firm in Chennai called Argent Price, and then they said How can you come? What's your background? I'm a chartered accountant. That's my background, but I don't have any practicing background. So finally, they took my what we call my zeal, my entrepreneurship, etc. So they gave me an opportunity to open up a branch in Mumbai in
Right.
1980. Okay, so from Chennai, first time I'm entering Bombay, started a practice as a partner in Arjun Price and ran it for about 5 years. That's the time the same entrepreneurial instinct and the killer instinct was still growing within me as a partner of a firm doing practice from scratch.
Sure. Sure.
Then I went into this Good Night. Somebody met me, a friend of mine, and we said, why don't we launch Good Night as a mosquito repellent?
Well,
So the
that's a
thought,
very interesting switch. I mean,
yeah,
from
substantially divergent thought.
it's a
You know,
complete diversion.
what a hardcore partner of an English firm, partner, chartered accountant, mindset, you know, return filing, company law provision, audit, internal audit, all this stuff. But I felt I should come out of that and get into the plunge of this building a brand, building a consumer product, building a new concept. That time in 1987, there was no mosquito repellent as a category in India. There was no category. Nobody knows what mosquito repellent at that time. So the Japanese guys, they came and they gave the know-how, Sumitomo K, and started the business from scratch. Built it up. There are a lot of issues. Fundamentally, it's a startup issue, which is nothing but funding. That day,
Right.
even today, the same thing. So we went to the bank and the bank supported and we started the business and ran it well. Basically, the internally the mindset of what I call I'm a professionally qualified chartered accountant coming into risk-taking journey, which is the entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
So try to blend it and then try to do something for how to build a brand. First year I had a turnover 1 crore, then second year 2 crore, like that. Built it up. Exactly when you look at the seventh year, we were able to do about 60 crore revenue, and which was talked about in that country 87 to 94. So that's the time when one of my partner had this interest to get into all diversified businesses, which he went into, which is also a typical entrepreneurial mindset. Even today, when I meet somebody who's writing right now, an entrepreneur running a 1,500 crore company, the mindset is like this very clearly. Whatever, every day you get up, you see a new product, you want to launch that. Want to launch that. And it was there, even that gentleman in 87 to 94, same thing. So I said, let's exit right now. If this is the diversification issue, we went to the extent now we went into films, basically, making feature films in Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil. I said, no, that doesn't work, running a business. Which he agreed with me. That's the time I met Mr. Godrej, Adi Godrej, and I explained to him, this is what, etc. Are you willing to buy the business? Which he said, yes. What's the price? So I said, my price is 60 crore. I have to get 120 crore, 2 times of this. He was laughing. He said, what is this? What is your profit? And how are you asking 120 crore? Which was totally unheard of at that time. What you call the revenue multiple. Today, what we talk about, EBITDA multiple and all those things.
Yes.
It was never there in 94. So I said, this is my price. And finally, he agreed. So he bought. I brought Uday Kotak into the picture. And we sold the business. I managed to sell it to him. And this, my friend, exited. So one of the conditions for acquisition for Adi Godrej is I should run the company, continue to run the company. So I was running the company for him. For about a year, my condition was. But then very next year, I managed to bring a multinational into India, which is
Can I
Sara
pause
Lee.
for a minute? Because this is a very important juncture, sir. You having a chance meeting with Mr. Adi Godrej and you having this pitching and believing in this particular thing. Folklore in business history says that this chance meeting with you and Mr. Godrej was that the kind of due diligence which happens right now, it didn't happen. It just was the trust factor, the way you showed, and that really played a big role in the deal being sealed rather than going through the papers. Is that really true? Because I have read in newspapers and articles about this particular meeting between them. What is the fact of the case, sir?
Right. The fact of the case is, again, when you say the trust, when you meet Adi Godrej for the first time, or he meets me for the first time running a firm of the Good Night brand, etc. When even at 1994 or even today, the same trust is built only by intermediaries, basically.
Right.
Today, that intermediary is transformed into an investment banker, we call IB, we call Edelweiss or Kotak Mahindra. These are all the investment bankers here in India. Now, at that time, who's my investment banker who did that building the trust? Is Uday Kotak himself individually. He was not running Kotak Mahindra at that time, 94. So that guy brought what he got, he brought me. He knows me, and he knows because I knew Uday Kotak's parents were, his father, his
Okay.
family were.
Okay.
So that's how the trust factor, what you're saying, is brought only by intermediary at that time, even today. Only thing is today we glorify as an investment banking arm, etc. We do that.
Right. Yeah. And tell us about, this is again a very, very important thing for an entrepreneur to understand that when you sell your business or you have an exit strategy, but the condition it's a very unique condition that you would be connected to the company, you would be running the company.
Yeah. Because the idea which came to Adi's mind is that, Mahindra, I don't know anything about this business. It's a mosquito repellent. It is a regulatory business. It comes under the law because it has chemical we are using, governed by the government. All the licenses have to be approved. And distribution. So our friend said, you have to run it. It's a deal breaker. If I'm not touching your business, if you don't commit running it. And that time he said for 1 year. I agreed because we're running for 1 year. What's a big deal? We have to agree. So I said, yes, Ari, I'll do that. Then I came. But the very next year, what happened is I brought a multinational.
Right.
And sold the company 51% to that company. So Adi was more a minority partner very next year. Now, what did Adi had? Adi paid roughly about 120 crores. And the very next year, I sold it to Adi 51% at 180 crores. He got it. So a man got 180 the next year and 49% of the company.
Amazing.
Okay. That 49% today is 30,000, 40,000 crores today.
What an ROI. I mean, this is through the roof.
Yeah. That's the beginning of that. So then I had to agree with that. So then when the multinational came in, they put a condition. Mahindra, you need to run the company for another 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Then I said, okay, I want to leave after 3 years. Then Adi said, the board said, no, you have to continue. So it was like annually they used to request every year from 2094 till 2010. I used to sign an annual contract signed by the board for me to extend my contract for 20 years. So I kept that freedom for me to move on. And finally, I moved on in 2013. That's how Global Consumer Product was started.
Right. Great. Awesome. So, sir, you truly believe that an entrepreneur's mindset is a very important tool in the success journey of an entrepreneur. And you have been involved into a lot of educational institutes, actively being facilitating entrepreneurship. Tell us something about, since the world has changed post-corona, post-COVID-19, what is the kind of a mindset which an entrepreneur should have to survive and to grow and prosper in the coming times? For coming from your end would be the great learning from us.
Right. See, an entrepreneurial journey starts with the risk-taking appetite and ability, and you start that. Now, here I'm assuming post-COVID, somebody has already taken the risk pre-COVID, and now we are passed through the COVID period.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that we are continuing the journey. Is that your question? The question is,
yes,
somebody has already started, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes. So now, post-COVID, of course, when you look at an entrepreneur should have, where I'm saying you should have a killer instinct. But post-COVID, the killer instinct typically, you understand, manifests in risk-taking ability. You know, what is killer instinct deep inside? If you look at the psychography of an entrepreneur, that translates into a risk-taking ability.
Wonderful.
Right? Now, in the post-COVID, my advice to all the entrepreneurs who have started pre-COVID, you understand, try to cool down and do not go for more of a risk-taking, at least for a period of 3 years. Now, Now, what does the 3 year means? You understand? See, let's say, for example, October, now we are November. 3 years from this October to 3 years, one should not go with the same appetite which they would have had, the same appetite prior to COVID, starting that business. So they got to be very careful. And whatever they have invested, you understand, slow down, cool down, and try to keep moving forward, but put hard work behind it, right? Now, while in this journey of 3 years post-COVID, I'm saying just shut the door of risk-taking appetite. But you have to be a hard worker, put all your effortization into the business, etc. Whatever concept you started, business you started, you understand. Put all your efforts. In my view, the COVID post-pandemic issues is going to be a big opportunity for these entrepreneurs if they do a good hard work. And if they don't overdo, take any risk. I'm saying no risk for the next 3 years. You understand?
Right.
Why I'm putting that embargo of a 3 year period is that's a time where we ourselves will know, the world will know, India will know what's the economic scenario where it is going to be. Nobody can predict today, okay, except God. So today we are in GOK syndrome. What do you call GOK? God only knows.
Yeah, that's your patent. GOK syndrome. God only knows. Very true. So that's a wonderful insight. Tell us something about the way you have designed a model for the latest entrepreneurship mindset in the 21st century, which you have a separate program for that, which you run in B schools, that how just entrepreneurship may not take you to the post. You got to have some professionalism along with that. So can you just elaborate more on how these two pillars are really
that, Sid. I call that as professional entrepreneurship. This, by accident, I learned, or I evolved, I created in 95, 96. Now, what happened is 94 tak, I was a pure play entrepreneur. While my background, before 87, I started this, and I was an entrepreneur by DNA. That's, you get the DNA effect of. So that's the reason I told my dad, I'm not going to go for a job, I'm going to do a practice, etc. So that has a DNA effect. Then you come to entrepreneuring, etc. And then you cross that. By accident, I evolved because of me bringing a multinational into the company, which is 51% when I divested from Godrej to there. Right. The whole scenario for me changed. My mindset, my approach changed because every quarter I have to be in Holland. That's the headquarters of this company. Then I was to go once in 6 months to Chicago. And so dealing with this multinational culture and their approach and the system, the process, etc., gave a lot of insights to me. And I was thinking deeply, we were not doing anything like that prior to Sarali coming in. Now, so that learning gave me a thought, why not we have that as well as this, have both. So I started bringing in that culture into the company, Godrej Sarali culture. We are the only company in the whole group of Godrej had that culture. The rest of the group companies do not have the culture. What you call professional entrepreneurial culture. Now, what is that? The evolution which I did in 96, 97 is every manager in the company, starting from a managing director, on a day-to-day basis, on the table, any decision you have to take, you have to give a weightage of 60% weightage towards entrepreneurial weightage mindset. And 40% should be professional mindset. This should work within your brain as a culture.
Wow.
You got it? So that I imbibe. And every manager, if I had 100 managers has to decide like that.
True.
That worked wonders in the sense, you understand, the growth was fantastic. We were not getting into any default on the risk part of it because you had a blend of both. See, the 40% professional impact was countermanding the risk-taking ability of entrepreneur, which is brought down from 100% to 60%.
Correct.
So every management decision on the table when you make, you are careful, but you're not conservative.
Very nice.
you understood what I mean?
Yes.
And that culture, till today, I'm bringing that for including right now or even global or everywhere. Right. That is so. Then when I created this business school, which I was one of the founder there in Great Lakes Institute of Management in Chennai. It is in the top 10 now in India. And there, when I teach, I go and teach the students entrepreneurial professionalism, or professional entrepreneur is a subject which we try to. A lot of examples I give. You know, it's not this concept is not developed in Harvard or Kellogg. You understand? It's developed. So you need to explain with examples a lot.
Correct, absolutely, and it's a brilliant concept, and that's where you can have a kind of a structure in the flow of entrepreneurship. You know, an entrepreneur is just going all over the board, and when you put structure behind that, I think that's
40% impact. No, that
exactly
that mollifies your freaking out ability. It mollifies.
very nicely put up, sir. Because that's where I can see that most of the entrepreneurs who are really having the passion, but they somehow fail because of that extra risk taking without the structured decision making approach.
Correct.
Uh,
You got it.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. Final two questions. Dhool Dhoop Dhakka, Arun Lal and Deepak Ghadge. Okay, what would you recommend the viewers of this interview about this book, about this journey where you are also featured, and in terms of it's a good read in terms for entrepreneurs? What would you recommend to our viewers?
From a book point of view, yes, I think the way Deepak and
Arun.
they went about creating identifying the target, who are the target they have, and there was a good thought in that. But the title Dul Dul and Taka is, it ranked in my mind the same professional entrepreneur only. That's what it means. But he has done it a nice Hindi word, three words
Yeah.
which he has put it in that. So, so when you talk about Dul Dul is entrepreneur 60%, and that Dhaka is one word is 1/3. That is 40%. What is Dhaka? Dhaka is professionalism.
Very nice, sir. I mean, very nicely put up. And whatever you have just mentioned, you have synced in with the title of the entire book. Final question, sir. For our viewers, who are most of them are entrepreneurs or professionals wanting to become entrepreneurs, final three top tips based on your experience. What are the top three takeaways which they can have so that they can have a successful entrepreneurial journey just like you? Final top three tips for our audience.
See, the top three tips is that, as I am saying, that when you do believe in professionalism and do all sorts of research and consumer research and whatever you need to do carefully on that, on developing a concept, whatever the concept is. But on the other hand, try to bring in the investment into that. Typically, we have a tendency to dilute ourselves to the level of 10% or 15%, and then try to bring the various investors like private equity and venture capital, etc. So my advice is don't dilute that. You should not dilute at least not more than 20%. That's the norm I have.
Right. Right.
So if the capital needed for the what you call the stage one seed, the funding one, it should not be more than the total expectation, total valuation.
Right.
More than 20% of that, so that you hold on to that. That's the very important thing which we normally tend to live. And anybody is giving an offer, let's say Sequoia, somebody is coming and they said we will take this 51%, and the entrepreneurs tend to succumb to it, and then they go. And later on, they regret at a later stage.
Correct.
Right. And last point is, of course, believe in human resource and believe in professional entrepreneurial building that. That's a big asset for anybody.
Bang on, sir. I mean, this is all a really valuable tips. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahendran. It has been an honor and privilege to have you here. And this
welcome, sir.
And this is Mr. A. Mahendran, entrepreneurship personified. I mean, huge experience of whatever he has been through, and successfully he has crafted the secret of a successful entrepreneur journey to have a professional entrepreneurial mindset, especially post-COVID. If you can just get some jewels of wisdom which he has just shared with us, I think your entrepreneurial journey can go to the next level. And if you want to have such kind of entrepreneurial journeys to actually see and actually read his entire story, then get the copy of Dhool Dhoop Dhakka from Arun Lal and Deepak Ghadge, and you will actually understand how his entire journey has been unfolded. Once again, I thank you, sir, for your time. And
thank you, Zed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care. All the best.